When we get a little bit, I can manually get closer.
And
You want to be closer for the microphone.
where's the audio is gonna be webcam?
Yes. If you don't mind, sit closer.
Yeah.
And then, move to the next desk. We're gonna walk this way.
It's good for you?
Yep.
All right. Okay, wait for me, I'm gonna come this, we can use the other side.
Yeah.
So you want?
So people shouldn't be coming in a little bit hard.
Maybe, yeah, so, yeah. Good. Perfect.
I have a lot of seeds this week.
Yeah.
Like, I got a little, it's ready, it's in my house. I mean, I got a little Joe plot of land. Then my car puts plastic seed, so I throw some. What's that? Fennel, cucumbers, I gotta do like. They're different, they're not Japanese. Back. Yeah, a lot of leaves and stuff.
Jump call officers. If someone is willing to fit in D1 to sign for packages. Please call me. If there's two officers,
Get somebody out there.
are they all in the shop?
Okay.
So, people are very interested.
You can do that.
I'll do it. Please let us. And it will be on Zoom, so you can watch me. Sorry.
It's really nice. But I finally forgot.
What did you provide?
Motivated.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's
Curious what you're up to say, arugula, lettuce. I didn't see. Planet sage. Oh, you really like that, right? They're like, well, yeah, I play with. That's aromatic. Yeah, it's just. You'll know that. It's not. I'm on CVent, so I'm not seeing any stuff.
It's on the, do you have the right link?
Well, yeah, I clicked for this one using immersive readers and just says we're almost ready. The session will be started soon. That's what I got.
I think we're not using the CVent, I think we're using the, we're using the Del call. We're using the
So
Del call Zoom account. We're not using,
did somebody send a mail about that?
to be honest, I don't know.
Because I mean, it's, there's a link for it and
Yes,
anybody who came from remote is gonna wanna,
Yeah, can we
probably gonna go there.
paste it into something?
Sorry?
Can we paste the link into something?
I don't know, I don't know anything to see that.
Somebody who's sending the CVent stuff, they should get a. Let's see.
I don't. It's about see them. Well, this is fine, so let me go.
I think that- Let me see if they're on.
Nice.
Locked.
Locked. We're locked in. Oh my goodness, a locked room situation. Wow. Interesting. Okay, we'll be okay. We'll be okay. Feeling very confident here.
Did you lose,
Yeah, just check, just redirect there something.
uh,
We'll be back. Back in a second.
How's everything? Yeah. It's not like all like, no.
Okay.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, is are we connected?
Like I said.
Are you waiting for a moment?
Maybe just wait for 1 second. I think we're still.
Oh, okay, so it's actually. Oh, so the station. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then just don't worry. I'll use my. Yeah.
Don't wear my teeth.
We're still here. Whatever out there.
Good evening. Hello, hi everybody. Hello. Everybody look at me. Thank you very much. Okay, good evening. We are not officially running live yet, but while we're waiting for things to happen, I would love to invite you to take part in a survey. So I want to first know, what is your experience of reading? Some of you possibly have seen this survey before, but I want to know, who have I got in the room? What do we know about how we read? How we feel when we read? This is anonymous. There's something I don't think we ask often enough. So it's working.
What's the Wi-Fi? Yeah. You're in the back, it's okay. What's someone?
Castle one.
Castle 13737.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Castle 13737.
I'm supposed to introduce you.
Oh, you're coming here to introduce me. Fantastic.
I haven't rehearsed it at all.
No, that's okay.
I just wing it.
Yeah, wing it. Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Are we ready to go now?
Yeah, we're.
Are we online?
I think that's part of the issue. We're not quite sure if we're online.
Okay, you want me to wait and see if we're online?
I started doing this as a filler activity.
We're still checking.
Yeah, is the survey working? Okay, yeah.
If it's this should be online because this is our private call account, yes?
Yes, but if you go to the link for this event in Cvent, it doesn't show up.
Yeah.
But it went out on Facebook and it went on in a bunch of places. All right, can I introduce you?
Okay.
All right, that's right in my eyes. Let's.
How do you do that? Say the password for the Wi-Fi.
Kumamoto, small letters 3737, Castle One.
Thank you.
Castle 1 is the user ID. Kumamoto 3737. Let's go Wi-Fi.
Immersive readers.
Yeah.
All right.
Immersive readers.
Yeah, you my show?
Yes.
All right, welcome to JALTCALL 2023. This is really exciting. For many of us, this is going to be our first face-to-face in a while, maybe our second, either way. I would like to introduce Alexandra Burke. I always call her Alex. I hope that's okay. A good friend of mine. I hope she agrees. Yeah, it's just a super inspirational person. I still remember like the minute, the day that I met her and we sat and talked for almost 2 hours, and ever since then.
Yep.
I've been a fan of hers and following everything she does. So I really hope you enjoy her workshop tonight. Please, big round of applause.
And I'm super happy to have a special guest in the audience with Ms. Kurika Kushiyama. And she and I shared a poster presentation, and we won best poster.
Yeah.
And Robert was the person who helped us put the posters up.
Yeah.
So and my poster was in English, and Kurika's poster was in Japanese, and we reached a lot of people about the problems of reading. So yeah, I'm so happy to have her here. Thank you.
All right, fantastic.
Yeah.
Have a good.
Thank you very much to JALT, to the Brain Sig for college and university educators for funding me to come here. I'm a part-time teacher. I have no budget for anything, so it is actually quite difficult for me to come to conferences, but I think it's really important to get the message out that not everybody learns the same. And I would really like to highlight a few of those things. So you've done the survey, and people, that's for the people back home. Let's just bring this back up. Okay, oops, there's a cat there. Cat was missing, cat came back. So yeah, for anybody who hasn't yet used this, this is a survey on how we read and how we write. And I want to start this presentation with this concept so that we can see, are we the same or are we different? Okay, and right, let's have a look. And we have, let's get to the right Google Chrome window. Oh, we've got 24 responses and they're all anonymous. So let's have a look at what we got. Let's go up here. Right. So does this surprise anybody? When you are reading, do you hear the words you're reading? And we've got some people said no, they don't hear the words at all. And some people said it depends on what I'm reading. And then they're in this room, we're all educators. But if I do this in a classroom, there will be a green section. Reading is hard for me. People who do not enjoy reading. So let's have a look at the next one. So it depends on what people are reading. Now, let's have a look at, do you see an image in your mind of what you're reading? And this part of the group here, people who do not see an image of what they're reading, are a really under-recognised group. And for English teachers, the language teachers, they face particular problems because they don't have an automatic mental image, but they also have less of an overlap with the people who need that image, who absolutely need it. So some people like me, I need images to learn. And I'm always really impressed by people who say, I don't need it, but I do know that others do. But how do you select the right image? It's actually a very interesting research question. And I've been talking to people recently who said they've always felt strange. They've always wondered what was wrong with them. Why were they different? And it affects them profoundly in teaching practice, but they are an underexplored group. And so here you are, research opportunity, yay. Because I'm part-timer, I can't initiate CACEN grants. So I can't do this. All I can do is throw out what I see and hope that somebody will pick it up and run with it. Okay, next. Do you find it easy to take notes? Now, this is where we're getting into interesting stuff. So we've got some people saying no, and some people say it depends, and some people say it's hard. Well, I'm definitely in this category. And for me, university was the first time I was able to take any kind of notes because I finally had access to a keyboard. Taking notes by hand was impossible. It's why I quit school. I did actually drop out of school to become a professional musician at 16. But I couldn't get into the conservatorium because I couldn't read music. Music would move as I'm reading it. And I could pass the test, but I couldn't get any further. So there was a wall in music. I went back into the workforce and then I went to university. It's a very long slog, 7 years. But I'm not unusual. I do find myself beating myself up. Why don't I have a PhD? Why don't I have this? Why don't I have a big master's? Why don't I have all of these things? But my education was dissipated because I could read really well, but my reading speed was slow. And if that's you, and you're in a family where you've got somebody who's really good at reading, you become the dumb one. And if in my case, the teacher said, oh, well, she can read, she's on the top readers, but why won't she work? She's lazy. So that is a very interesting situation to be in. So if you are in this situation, you are not alone. You are not broken. You are absolutely not broken. You never were broken. And this is your time now because we have this tech. We have the opportunity to do text to speech. Do you like writing by hand? Yes, no? So some people don't like writing. And some people, yeah, quite a few people, 17% don't like writing. I don't like writing either. I barely write. These days, I barely use a keyboard. I talk. Because why not? I can talk at the speed that I want to think. We can do this. We have the technology. Japan has the technology. It's all happening. Okay, which hand do you write with? Okay, we've got right, and we've got 96% of people are right-handed in this room. Now, statistically, there are 12% of left-handers, but a lot of people got corrected from left to right when they were children. And that is a profound impact on your self-esteem. That message that you are broken. You are not broken. People should be able to use the left and the right. And I encourage people to use both hands, because what if you're like me and you get a hand overuse injury and you end up with carpal tunnel? You want to use that left hand, switch your mouse over if you're doing it with trackpad, do it as fast as you can so you don't burn out your hand. Okay, and any other questions? Right? Bit uncertain about hearing words when I read, but when I pronounce them in my head, it's quite different to reading. Yeah, okay, this is really interesting stuff. I mean, messy notes. I could not take sentences. I would go from either verbatim or just keywords. One of my best lecturers at university was a guy who said, draw a picture. You'll remember what you saw. And I still remember him. This is nearly 30 years later. He was wearing a blue shirt. He had a red and blue striped tie. He had very short hair. He sort of looked ex-army. And he had worked at NASA. And he said, you will remember as much of my workshop as if you had written notes. And so I did. And he taught me, it's a great thing, post-it notes. Use post-it notes for planning. Plan from the when the astronaut lands in the ocean, it comes back. Post-it note, you're planning. Revolutionary, good for students. Okay, so here's our data. Now, I'm going to go over to actual presentation. And here we go. All right, so you've had the about me. Now, what we do have is a legal obligation to provide the opportunity for people to read. We have an equity issue. So we have equity issue is that about 10% of our readers are at low level. About 20% of our readers are severely challenged by reading. And a lot of them are excluded. We have high risk readers, and they are people with ADHD. And where are my learners? We've got to go where our learners are. And that's where my focus is on, and the learning environment, and let's try it out. Okay, so here we have this document here. And gosh, that's a lot of text. I would like you to try and read the top one. Can you read it? I want you to have a go at reading it. Yep, a lot of text to look at, and it's quiet. Okay. Now, maybe that's a little difficult to read, but I'm going to try something different. So this is my first level of, this is level 1 of immersive reading. So let's go here to I'm just going to plug in the iPad. And so we get some, yep, here we go, coming in. Yay, got it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this. Okay, so there's a lot of that Japanese is difficult for people if you're not a good, not proficient at reading. Let's have a listen to this.
読解力のある子どもは読解力のない子どもに比べて学校での成績が良く、高いレベルの教育を受け、病気にかかる率が低く、倒木や技術の進歩可能性が低く、就職しやすく、大人になってからの平均所得も高くなります。
Okay, so that is first level of using an immersive reader type technique. All I'm doing is I'm using my finger to select the text and copy it and then speak. I would like you to try that now on your own devices. Get a device and you can grab any text you can find, something from any document. We can try flipping back to this. Circles. Let's take a picture of it. Select the text with your finger. Okay, to do that, you have to push down hard with your finger on the screen and select the text. You'll then get several options. You can copy it. It will translate, you can speak, or you can share it. I just want you to try that and then touch speak.
Children skilled in reading perform better in school, attain higher levels of education, experience lower rates of disease, are less likely to be incarcerated or experience poverty, are more likely to find employment, and achieve higher average incomes as adults compared with children who fail to achieve reading proficiency.
Okay, so, hello,
Do you know what level phones, it doesn't work with my phone.
sorry.
You have to, I think you have to turn it on in the accessibility option.
Yeah, let's go to, so let's have a look at that accessibility options. Let's go right there now. Okay, here we go. So, right, so you go across here. Okay, I'm going to go to settings on my settings, and I'm going to go, oh, don't tell me there's a software update.
Accessibility.
Oh,
down
yeah,
below, Jennifer.
Yeah, but it looks like there's an update on it. Okay, accessibility. Let's go to accessibility. And accessibility, what we're going to go to is spoken content. Spoken content. So I think I've got some pictures of these in Basecamp. Yeah, not voiceover. Voiceover is annoying, as a voiceover will tell the world everything that comes into your computer as you're working. That can be embarrassing in a class. Because you don't want somebody to say, what time's dinner or whatever, you know, you do not want that to pop up and suddenly be read aloud, and it will, it will do that. So what we're looking at is this bit here. We're looking at this one, spoken content, right there, spoken content. Yay, somebody got it. Woo. So once we go into spoken content, we have, okay, bye-bye, that one, good, shoot. Okay, saved, bye. Okay, now we go into, you have speak selection at the top. Speak selection, and then you have speak screen. Now, speak screen was fantastic for me when I was studying, doing my Cambridge CELTA certificate, because I had such a high volume of things to read, and I was working full time. I did not have the physical time to sit and read, and I wasn't taking it in. But what I could do was I could select it and I could listen to it. And meanwhile, I could do some stretching or something, you know, do something else. You do not have to read only with your eyes. And you might find that you're actually really good at retaining with your ears. Okay, so we've got that, and we've got speak screen. You can also have highlight content. I do that. I usually choose, say maybe words or sentences. If you are teaching this to students, teaching them words and sentences is really good, because listening and then having the content to be able to listen and go on, fantastic for students. It's revolutionary. Okay. And I've also got this, I've also got another function here, which is, this one here is that one is a
Speak selection on. A speak button will appear when you select text. Speak screen on. Swipe down with 2 fingers from the top of the screen to hear the content of the screen.
So that's the little box here. This gives you speech controller. Speech controller is a fantastic tool. Absolutely recommended, but it is dependent on how people have formatted their documents. Okay, now let me just go back. Okay, there's also typing feedback. You can actually fix your own, you can fix your pronunciation things. So if you've got any particular accents, you can actually, you know, affect how it will read what you've collected. So I thoroughly recommend you experiment with those. Thank you very much for directing the traffic. Okay, now let's go back here. Just a minute, sorry, too many things. Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, okay. Now back to this one. Okay, yeah. So was everybody able to do that? Were you able to do it? Yeah. I have a range of other slides I'm going to share a range of other resources I'm put into a Padlet for you. But now let me go back to, it's a little hard to get the voice to shut up sometimes too. Okay, now here we go. Let's go to this one. Okay. Okay, right, next. Keynote seems to be freezing. I might have to stop that and go, I'll just have to reload that, I think. Okay. While Keynote is freezing, I'm going to show you something else. And I'll just get that going. I always teach using multiple devices. And I particularly use iPads and phones because that's where the students are. They are not on computers. They are absolutely not on computers. They have no interest in computers. This has been the case since, yeah, it's really gone. It's got a force quit. Yeah, Keynote's dead. Okay, now here is, some of you will recognize this from JALT 2022. This was a document I made about, this was a document I made about immersive reader overall. And so one of the things I want to point out to you is that we have a very, very big imbalance between people. Okay, some of them come with money and they come with ability to read easily, and they come with lots of support, and the others don't. People like me to a certain degree, and people like my brother, who should have been in a think tank somewhere. He's just crazily smart with things, but was told as a kid, like, oh, you know, you're either, my parents are told, you're either a genius or you're a dunce, and he was made to stand in the corner. And people actually made him wear a dunce's cap. The guy's got unbelievable maths technology. And when I learned about using voice to text, I taught him to do it over the internet. And he wrote back a long message saying, this is like growing wings. And since then, he's been writing to me. And I didn't have any contact with him for years. And it was because he needed that technology. He needed the voice technology. Okay, we're just about back here. That HDMI is not connecting. Okay, cable is really wild. Okay, here we go. So now, when you're looking at regular text, here is regular text. And that is, and I'll just go right in on it. This is a pretty typical text used for academic writing. It's a full serif font. It's very, very close together. And it's actually really hard for, Oxford would say that it's difficult for second language learners, and it's particularly difficult for dyslexics. But then you can use immersive reader. And to quote Steven Spielberg, being made to read aloud was just another day in one of the worst days of his life. Spielberg found out at 69 that he was dyslexic. Until then, he had been hiding the fact that he couldn't read. And he would say that he needed time to think about a script. The reality was it took him several days to read it. And he didn't tell anybody. He was alone, thinking he's the only one. Now, there are a lot of people that you know who are in that situation. So many people. The reason I'm able to use this machine is because of Steve Jobs. Jobs couldn't finish university. Difficulty with reading and writing. And then you have, and if anybody's on an Android device, well, same thing with Bill Gates. But Bill Gates went one further, and he invested in immersive reader technology. And this is what immersive reader looks like. Now, with this, I've been able to go into the text. I've been able to tell it to syllabalize the text. So it puts it into syllables automatically. And I've also told it to highlight the verbs. So if I want to tell students to highlight the verbs, they like to focus on the verbs, look for these words. We're going to stress these words. This really makes a difference. And this one here, which has got a symbol on it, that means it's going to go to an example for them. With immersive reader, it has 3 menus that we can use all the time. You can change the fonts, you can change the line, the layout, and then you can access a picture dictionary. And what is it? And imagine with your brain, like this is the difference between reading with your eyes and reading with your ears. There really isn't a difference. And I'm predicting that our concept of reading is going to change very, very quickly. Because if you were to say to somebody who has a visual disability, oh, you're not really reading, are you? If you're not reading a book, if you're not doing it properly, it's not really reading. Well, that would just be really, really offensive. It's exactly the same to somebody who's got a learning difference. And we're really happy is that that's actually changing. I've got links on. I'm going to share this poster, and it's got links to all of the details. But Microsoft have updated it, so one or two of the codes don't work. It's got in here the links that take you to the Japanese Education Act about barrier-free learning. But let's go to here. So in Immersive Reader, these are the software functions you can use Immersive Reader in. If you have Microsoft Edge, then have you got Microsoft Edge? Okay, open it now. And if you haven't got Microsoft Edge, do have a think about grabbing it, because Microsoft Edge has Immersive Reader built in. It's free. It has Immersive Reader built in. And if you're in Microsoft Edge, you can change the font types. You can have a serif if you wanted. You can have a non-serif if you wanted. Yeah, it's the most important thing. It's not that everybody gets the same thing. It's that everybody gets what they need. We all need to get what we need individually. And if you're using Immersive Reader, it's also embedded in a program called Flip, which is a video program. I use this extensively with my students because they do a video, and then they can click on their captions and they can see what they said. It's instant feedback. And they can look at what I'm saying, and they can look at my syllable patterns. They can highlight if they're trying to focus on up-down patterns or adjective noun patterns, they can just highlight those. And it makes students incredibly confident. And go back here. So what I noticed in my students, and I teach at several universities. I teach very high level students, and I teach some students which would be described as low level students. But are they low level students? Is it just they have had this barrier that they keep smacking into every day? In 2019, JASO did a survey of the students who had opted to disclose that they were dyslexic, or they had a ADHD or were dyslexic and they needed help with reading. They needed a different paper. And that number was 50 students out of 550,000. That is such a tiny percentage. And this is another reason why Immersive Reader is important, because to get access to support services, you need a diagnosis. But most people will never get that diagnosis. Statistically, we know that there are 8.8% of students identified by teachers as being in Japanese elementary schools, junior high schools. 8.8% of them are in public schools. The teachers say these kids have got something going on with their reading and writing. guess what? They go to high, when you measure the same things, the survey at high school is only 2.2%. So where did they go? Where did that 6.6% go? They didn't make it through the high school entrance tests because they are at risk. They are absolutely at risk, and it is a one-way ticket to doing things like self-medicating with alcohol, tobacco, and if you're in another country, it'd be other kinds of drugs and things. So we want to, and the consequences of that are health impacts. So there is a really strong reason why people need to be able to access reading. And I noticed that my students, like, irrespective, they would be spending more time attempting to read. And my class attendances are really, really high because I'm just assuming that there are students in my class who need help, as opposed to those students need help and that one is special. I do this, all of them. I teach all of them how to use this. It doesn't hurt the good ones, in inverted commas. It doesn't hurt the ones who are highly proficient. They will still use whatever is good for them. Now, next. Okay, done the survey, and here we go. Went back. Computer, let's come back. Have a little bit, so I'm going to jump ahead on a few of these slides. And let's go away. Okay, and so I've got down here, now done there. So what we really need to do is we need to change the environment. We need to change our environment. We're the only ones who can dictate what happens in the classroom. We need to shift so that, because that line is financial success in life, stability, autonomy, ability to control your future. And if you've got lots of things behind you, you've got that. But if we make the ladder shorter by assuming that the students can't do it, we are condemning them to not being part of the community that everybody else has. So what we need is a ladder with more rungs. And this is what Immersive Reader is doing. Okay, now we go. Next, and I mentioned there's a law. So we have three things at work here. We have the Giga School Initiative, which is the Global Innovation Gateway, can't remember the last word, and that is sweeping through the education system. It is now effectively at high school first year. Next year, it will be high school second year. In 2 years' time, you will have students flooding into classes, if you're at university level, who are highly proficient on tablets. And that's where they are. They're not going to be carrying around PCs. They're going to be really good tablet users. So the teachers who are working only with tablets, you need to be ready for this. You've got 2 years to be ready to deal with the tablet environment. Now here, this one here is this I mentioned before about studies that exclude people. This one was before they participated in the study, the nature and possible consequences are explained. None of the participants had a history of neurological or psychological disorders. That means anybody who had anxiety, anybody who had ADHD or dyslexia, anything like that, gone. Okay, and this is from that's from a meta-analysis of the best way to learn. And another one, participants are from a sample from a normative population, typical development, no reading difficulty and no cognitive impairments or disorders. And this is telling you that paper books are the best way to go, or print only is the best way to go, or fonts don't matter. They do not include the risk group in the study. And this is my favorite one for the left-handed people in the room. This is all participants, but one were right-handed, and the exception was both-handed. They didn't recruit any left-handers. Why is that? Because left-handedness is associated with reading disorders in certain people. If you are left-handed, you have a higher chance of it. The Norwegians actually went looking for autoimmune and left-handedness, but what they found was dyslexia and left-handedness. That was a byproduct study. So, yep, we need to be aware that if you're looking at a study that says this is the best way to do it, that best way to do it study, look at the participants list. Have a good look at them. Okay, reading disorder and ADHD and non-ADHD. If you are a boy and you have ADHD, by the time you are 19, this is the people who have no ADHD. This is reading disorder in that group. So it's about 14%. And then that is the boys. So the boys who have reading disorder are the ADHD boys. They are much harder to teach in a classroom. They actually need more support and they need audio. They need reading, they need voice to text, they need typing. Girls is a much more serious disadvantage. But girls are much less likely to be identified. And their rates, compared to the typical population of girls, their rates of reading disorder are so much higher. So if you have difficult girls in your class, girls that seem to be putting their head down at the back of the room, that could be what's going on. Try and see if you can introduce some reading, or you can introduce some of these text-to-speech things, you can unlock that. That's what ADHD is like. Everything, all in your face, all at once. It's not a case of not enough attention. It's a case of too much, everything. Now, okay, another thing I want you to think about is that your students are sitting down all the time. If you're sitting down, your brain is going to run out of blood oxygen. And basically that's the problem. Your brain is going to become empty. So right now, I want you to stand up, talk to each other. From the brain dump you just had, what do you think? Big brain dump. 5 minutes.
I've got lots
Okay, now, okay,
Yeah.
okay, what I'm gonna do here is I'm doing my usual thing, which is I'm putting in a Padlet for you, and basically you'll be able to write on this, but I've also put in a copy of my poster on Immersive Reader. So you can actually get all of the data and links that are on that. And you can look at some of the studies, etc. Yep, time.
Last five.
Oh, last five. Oh, okay, great. Yeah, so this is right here. It's on here on the Padlet. But what do we do with the Padlet? What we do is, so this is so that's my document there. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to click down here and I'm going to write something. So how I would use this. 3 things I'm going to try. 3 things I'm going to try. And that one there, you can just add comments underneath it. Before we go to that, I do want you to have a look at the genius that is on the WordPress JALTCALL site. Go to JALTCALL. Okay, JALTCALL 2023. What's it coming up? JALTCALL 2023. Here it is. Now, on this page, this is if you have WordPress, you could almost immediately start using this. Down the bottom here is the bottom of that is an accessibility plugin. And you basically, I can click on this, I can change the font. So if you need a serif font, you get one. If you need a bigger font, you get one. If you need a smaller font, you get one. If you need a dyslexic font, you get that. All you have to do is to touch that button and you get your own preferred font, or you get your own preferred background. And this is free. If you have WordPress, you could do this immediately. And look at this too. We've got JALTCALL site. This is interesting. At the very top, and I'll just use you can have a look at this. Up here, see that thing there? Little AA. If you're on Safari, you'll have it as an AA. When you touch that AA, what happens is you get a, oops, hang on a sec, go again. Okay, get the reader symbol. All I did was I touched that button and I'll go hide reader. I go back to what I had before. Click on the page, show reader. And with the reader, I can change the background. And I can change the font size. This is all there, right there, on your computer right now. This is, but it's interesting because it's website dependent. And I want you, if you have a website of your own, I want you to go and look for the reader function at the top of your page. Go and have a look for it. See if you can find that reader function. Is it there or not? If we go to the JALT, let's have a look at the JALT page, JALT National. Okay, JALT. Bang, JALT. ORG. JALT.org. Here we go. JALT. Let's have a look at that one. And Here it is, we can see that, and let's have a look at the reader function, reader there. Now, this is where we've got a small problem, and this is beyond my pay grade. And I need people who are good with coding to find out, why does this reader not happen? We cannot use the reader on that site. But we were on a Safari site a moment ago. What's different? It's a coding difference. Okay, see how that's grayed out? We need to find out why that is. And I've been searching and no one has the answer, but it's definitely website dependent. So if you've got a website, this is something we need the community to solve. Okay, anyway, back to where we're going. We're going to finish up with the Padlet, and you can do this sort of afterwards for homework if you like. But here is on the Padlet. All I'm going to do now is just do a QR code. Finish time, yep, and you can leave comments afterwards. And here is generate QR code. Create QR code. Oh, share, yeah, under here. QR code, right. You can now leave your own comments. And I'd be really interested in anything you think you can take away from today. And all you do to use it, all you do is you press on the little plus button and you can write something. You can add links in. Or actually, is it set to secret or something? Let me just check that I haven't set it to secret. Visitors can write. Yes, it's secret. Visitors can write. You okay? You can use it? Good. Okay, and I would like to, I would like to thank all of you for giving me some of your time today, and for, I could see there was a lot of discussion. I would like you to put yourselves in the shoes of the student who can't read. And if you don't see yourself being able to do an immersive reader thing in your classroom, if you ever ask your students to do choral reading, I would like you to say, okay, everybody, we're going to read aloud, you model the reading, and then okay, everybody keep reading until I say stop. And you walk around and you listen and you just notice where your weakest reader is. And you do not stop until they have gone back to the beginning. It doesn't hurt the others to keep reading, but they will never feel the shame of being the last person reading and everybody looking at them. We want our classrooms to be shame-free places, and let's use technology and enjoy our conference, and let's go forward. Let's change. Thank you very much. You can write anything you like there. Okay. And I'll put in a couple of other links.
There's a question
Yep.
to post the link for the reading survey.
Oh, the reading survey.
Could you
Yeah,
show
yeah.
that link again?
Yeah, sure. Yep. Coming up. Coming right up.
Of the online attendees.
Yeah, sure. Okay, here we go. Reading.
Just the link so that they can fill out. this.
Yep. Okay, here we have questions. Okay, here we go. And create QR code. Actually, I'll put a copy of it onto the Padlet.
Yes. Oh, post it to Hadley.
Yeah, I'll post it to Padlet. Yeah.
Yeah.
How to do this. So a bit of post-COVID, and I just forget how to do stuff. Here we go. Yeah, QR code and copy. Okay, copy. It's like you can want to capture. That's good. Okay, I'm just going to Yeah. How about in there? Okay. And by the way, I want you to be aware that my teachers, I want you to be aware that when I was in school, my teachers said to me, told my parents that it wasn't going to amount to anything very much. So it was best to teach me to type a little. So I had something to do before I got married and had kids. And what's really upsetting is that it happened again to my kids when they were 18 and they dropped out at 17. And I just thought, the system must stop. And Japan is perfectly poised to change the system. Japan has one kid, one device. It has digital textbooks. We need to say, yes, they can do it if we give them the tools. And I want to tell my friend who's on dialysis now that teachers are listening and teachers will change, because he's on dialysis from having dyslexia, undiagnosed. And he's the most amazing genius guy. But that could have been avoided. And it makes me so angry that somebody who's 53 could be on dialysis because of being shamed for not being able to read. So let's do this. Thank you.
Alex, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right, folks, we are finished for the, you're coming to the dinner. You're on the 7:45. We don't have to join them. Tomorrow you'll probably see some of the assistants will be getting wonderful happiness that I did. So, it's sustainable and encourage you. And do the job. Okay, so very good. Job. I guess today's talking all.